Hold on. Boom. All right. What's up, ScoonTv family? It's the weekly live stream. Glasgow, what's up, man? Good to see you, Glasgow. How the audio sound? I need an audio check. Indy, oh, you requested some KRS One? I'm sorry, man. Man. Oh, you got the app notification? Great. BT Wash, what's up with you, man? Over there on YouTube. Or one of those channels. We use a Restream with everybody, you know? I'm drinking some tea. I don't know what we're going to talk about today because I've been working on my article all day. I was trying to get it out earlier, but I had so many meetings at work. Yo, it's just tough, man. I mean, I ain't crying, you know, shit. But I'm sure y'all gonna have something for me. What we got? We got Roland Martin. We got the WNBA. What else we got going on? Brian Singleton, what's up? Williams, salute. Hey, Darnita, what's going on? I got a little Bob James 2 playing. You know, we used to mix this record. That's why I know it. This is what, hold up. Remember that from Run DMC? That's where they got it from. For sure. All right, now what's up with y'all? What we got going on? It's a little early. I kind of like want to get back to my article. I was in the zone, right? I'm editing the article and fact checking it with Claude. I don't like ChatGPT. So I'm putting it in there paragraph by paragraph. And then Claude tells me that I'm doing an amazing job covering such historical range and tying it together the way that I'm doing it. I was like, damn, is Claude hitting on me? What the hell's going on here? Claude been flattering me the whole time. You know, every time I put something in there, he's telling me how great it is. You know, I mean, I did. Yeah, Glasgow, I think Claude is better. It is. Because ChatGPT would change my my writing. Change not just the writing, but the context of what I was trying to do. And I tested Claude because there's some stuff in my article about Israel, and I wanted to see if Claude was going to try to censor it. It wasn't a lie or a conjecture or anything. It was actual facts. But ChatGPT would try to rephrase it and soften it. Real quick, if you could pay to rewatch any fight ever, give me 5 fights. Listen, Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe won at the Thomas Mack Arena. I was there, and that was an epic heavyweight fight. Definitely. And Tyson Ruddock too at the Mirage. Epic. I used to mostly follow the big boys. That's why, you know, when I write and talk about boxing, I don't really think boxing starts until at least 147, but you know, that's just me. But another great fight that I witnessed was Evander Holyfield versus Ray Mercer. That was in Atlantic City. And I was in the 6th row. And you know, Ray Mercer, and Ray's a cool guy too, right? I interviewed him. Ray's a tough guy with a granite chin. But Evander hit him with a shot, and I promise you, Ray looked around and you could see the panic on his face, like he wanted out of that ring. I mean, and they rumbled, man. Whichever fights that I would, of course, everybody knows I wasn't there for this one. But man, Hearns and Hagler, yo. But they gave us 3 rounds of the best boxing. I mean, it's, I hate that the word is overused, but it's iconic, man. And last but not least, who would I get? And notice I didn't mention no Floyd Mayweather fights, right? I don't have anything against Floyd, but I just think he's in one of those eras where he didn't have any real opposition. And that's the problem with a lot of the lighter weights, right? There's usually like this one really great guy, and then there's everybody else. And the thing with the heavyweights is there's a lot of guys. It's more, at least back then, it was more competitive. Now let me see one more fight that I would pay to see. Let me think. I got to get back to you on that one. Because I've seen a lot of them fight, man, but, that really left an impression on me. Those were the ones off the top. Shit, I was at where was it? Caesar's Palace when the parachute guy came in the ring in the rematch for Riddick Bowe and Holyfield. Yeah, they fought at Caesar's Palace. And the interesting thing, right, because I might have a conspiratorial mind. After that fan man came into the ring, there were no more outdoor fights. Not major fights anyway. I don't know if they still do small events, but they all went indoors. And guess what opened up a few months after that? Because that was like November 1993. And in early 1994, the MGM Grand opened up. And all the fights that used to be at Caesars and the Mirage, it shifted to the MGM because nobody wanted anything like that ever happening again. So it's almost as if it could have been calculated to steer business to the MGM Grand. And Don King had signed a deal with the MGM Grand. That May, I think it was May 7th in 94, he had that amazing card. It was called Revenge. And everybody was on there. Chavez, Meldrick Taylor, Julian Jackson, Gerald McClellan, all of them. So it was an amazing card. Yeah, and I was there for that one too. Oh, wow. The IndyCar race in D.C. next week. I might check it out. Assalamu alaikum, Mumin. No, William, I don't consider the fights at Wembley a big deal. I will tell you this, though. I don't think there are better boxing fans than the British fans. And they live up to the word fan. They are fanatical in their support. And they'll show up for anybody. I mean, there really hasn't been a great British boxer in a long time, but they don't care. It's been a while, but I remember when they would come to the Garden, to Vegas, in droves, man. They would fly to support Frank Bruno or any other British fighter that was fighting, man. And calling people wankers and all this, like, yeah, they're some good fans, but, their fighters aren't that great. And I think it's because their training methods and they don't have the competition. See, when it comes to fighting, I don't think any one nationality or ethnic group is particularly more proficient at fighting than the other. It's all a reflection of the competition you face coming up, and you're molded by your opposition. And if it's not really competitive, you don't have you don't have a chance to really get good. You know, they say iron sharpen iron, right? So if you're in these countries and these divisions where you have no real rival, how are you going to get better? And that's the problem, you know. And when we was talking a couple of weeks ago, when you see fighters moving up in weight divisions, it's not that they're trying to be great. It's that they know they can't make any money fighting at the lower weights because there's nobody there. No matter how many of these writers, you know, start talking about he's a pound for pound, a linear champ, or blah, blah, blah. Listen, man, there's like 4 divisions right now, right? 4 major divisions. There's some other fringe ones. Everybody got a belt. And then, aside from those belts, they got the interim champion belts and the intercontinental, blah, 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 and all this stuff. And there's 17 weight divisions. So you do the math. 17 times 4 plus all the other belts. And then you got stuff like the franchise belt. Everybody got a belt. And if everybody got a belt, then having a belt don't mean shit. Did you see Massachusetts became the 10th state to allow abortion after 24 weeks? Well, there's a lot of liberals up there, right? Yeah. They were on stage applauding. I think, you know, I'm obviously not a woman, but I'm a father of a newborn, and you know, at this age, I look at the whole thing so differently. Don't get me wrong, when I was younger, I may have been a little detached from all of it, but nah, man. People better find another way. You know, contraception, sterilization. If you don't want to have kids, you need to do something other than getting pregnant. Oh, 50 has a new show about a London drug. Well, that's a smart move for 50. A London kingpin who was using his boxing promotion company as a front. Well, I don't know. Somebody, Mumin sent me something today saying Daniel Kinahan is in custody. And he's a definite drug kingpin. He, his father, and his brother, and they were on the run in Dubai with $5 million rewards on each of their head. And that's who Bud Crawford tried to sign with when he first left Top Rank. He wanted to sign with, I think, Mac the Knife, MTK. Yeah. And so it's realistic. It's pretty realistic. I can put $2,500 in tax free every year. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, I'm definitely open that for my son. Definitely. I get a tax break on it too. Yeah, man, for sure. Yeah, but William, it is realistic, you know. I mean, the Kinahans were Irish, of course, but it's realistic. It happened over there. They can relate. In America, I don't know so much, you know. There's been allegations about Jay Prince, excuse me, you know, having his feet in both worlds, at least when he started. I don't know about now. At least those are the allegations, right? So yeah, it happens. You know, boxing is kind of like the red light district of sports. Boxing attracts a certain element. Yeah. And if you see people in boxing, when you throw that kind of money around with that crowd, man, listen. You know, I interviewed Sammy the Bull, and he was saying that when Don King came in the game, the fighters were making so much money that the profit wasn't in fixing the fights. It was in getting a piece of the purse, you know, ownership. Yeah, for sure. Did I see the interview with Zab Judah and Andre Ward? Yeah, I didn't see it. You know, I spoke to Zab. I spoke to Zab about the Don King project. I sent it to him, you know. And, you know, Zab is part of what's that company? Something Black, something. And they made him the CEO. Actually, I was on the phone with Jimmy Henchman, and I was trying to get him to link me with Shah Kemp from Flavor Unit, and he had Zab on the phone because Zab, you know, is his son-in-law, and Zab also knows boxing, and I don't know what it was. It could have been me. Maybe I'm the reason why they didn't reach back. But what happens is a lot of people, when they see you come up with an idea and they're immersed in the sport and the business, they almost wonder like, damn, why didn't I think of that? Maybe I could put that together. Blah, 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 blah. They will try to steal your idea though, you know? It happens a lot. Let me see. What's up, Peter? My thoughts on Charleston White. So the lady who used to manage Charleston White, I spoke with her today. Her name is Dr. O, and she's been working for the government for a long time, and now she wants to be a lawyer at 51 years old, and she needed a letter of recommendation from Judge Joe Brown. So I kind of hooked that up for her. And we had a long discussion about Charleston, and you know I'm not gonna go into detail with anything, but I just you know, I just hope Charleston be okay, man, because it looks like he's painting himself in a corner, you know. Yeah, it looks that way, but he could be crazy like a fox. I would hate to see anything happen to him, you know. But he's been escaping a lot of potential problems. So maybe he'll keep up. You know, I met Charleston a couple years ago. He says a lot of things that I would never say. He does things that I would never do. But at the end of the day, you know, when I see Charleston, I just see someone who's kind of like getting the best out of who they are the only way they know how. And it doesn't mean that everything he does is right or righteous, but it is what it is. X money card. Seems like everything for sale now. Well, everything is for sale. That's what they got going on. The EYL guys getting into it with Andre Dickens and them coming together at their Invest Fest. Nope, I haven't paid attention to it. The Earn Your Living guys. You know, I looked at this stuff. A lot of conversations are going on. Diary of a CEO, I like his platform though, because he's more informative. But anything where people saying they're going to show you how to make money, I kind of look at with a raised eyebrow. You know, because there's no podcast that's going to bring you from 0 to 100 just like that. Now, if you're already making moves and you get some information from somebody who's done similar things and you can incorporate it into what you're doing, okay, I'll go for that. But if you've never done business, and most importantly, you don't have any startup capital, right? The podcast is not going to fix it for you. You may like what they say, but it's not going to fit into your realm of possibilities. And that's the thing. It's not that they're lying about the things they say. The question is it even applicable to you? Like, okay, listen, I said I was having a bunch of meetings at work today. And this is what I've found. When I hire non-black people, their focus is the job. They are, they're happy to have a job. They're interested in doing their job and doing it well to get a promotion and a raise and all of that. Like, they've accepted that, you know what, I'm going to be the best worker that I could be to take care of my family, because being an employee is not that bad of a deal. Not if it's paying your mortgage, it's feeding your kids, it's paying for vacations. They have this, this whole approach to the job. But when you hire black folks, right, everyone has aspirations. Well, they express it. I don't even think they understand what they're asking for. Aspirations of being an entrepreneur. And I'm not trying to discourage anybody from being an entrepreneur. But if that's what you want to do, don't go get a job. And definitely don't talk about it at your job. Keep that to yourself. You're not impressing anybody. Talking about, because I want to be an entrepreneur. So what the fuck you doing here? I'm the entrepreneur here. I'm offering employment. Are you focused on that? And we're always looking down the road, and I don't know, man. And what happens is that work has taken on a negative connotation. It's connected to slavery. Everybody thinks that when they have their own business, that they're going to be free. And I'm going to tell you something. 90% of them, when they become self-employed, they're going to be their own worst employee. I could tell who would do good with their own business just by who do good at work. Because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. If you're a slacker over it, if all you're thinking about is like, I can't wait for this to be over. There's some other shit I want to do. It's like, it's crazy. Your job is your livelihood, but you can't wait to get off work to do things that can't sustain you. In fact, do things that's financially draining you. But look, man, I'm not here to tell anybody anything. Live your life. But I'm going to go ahead and do what's best for me. And I already know from experience what to expect. I didn't realize how common it is for people to get cut out of business deals. That's right. Man, all the time, Soren. Listen, I'm trying to do a development deal in Detroit. And the only thing keeping me from moving forward, because I got the big boys lined up, but I won't move forward unless I have absolute control of the land. Because if I don't have control of the land, I know I'm getting cut out. And that's the holdup. I got to get control of the land. Otherwise, what do they need me for? See, and that's the thing about business, right? All of these people that don't want to compete, they don't understand. Like when you jump into that business world, you're jumping into shark-infested waters. They're ruthless, man. They are. And even if you're not, you better be prepared for them being just that. Colton, what's happening? Democratic Socialists leading in the polls. Yes, you know what, Peter? I'm not surprised. I am not surprised. And I think sadly, after what happened in New York and DC, I think it's going to snowball. It won't be long before we have a Democratic Socialist president. Because politicians just want to get elected. And when they see the blueprint of what's working, and you know why it's working. It's working because the opportunity for other people is shrinking. It really is. So once that happens and people are confronted with their true contributive value, they're going to want the government to fix everything for them, and it will. But you'll almost be like a serf. It'll be like neo-feudalism. That's kind of like where everything is heading. And I'm just trying to get myself positioned so I don't get caught up in that. Because once you're there, there's no escaping it. None. The senator from Michigan that won, are you talking about El Sayed? I don't know if he's I don't know if that's who you're talking about. I know El Sayed, he won in Michigan, and I think he's running for governor. I don't know what he's running for. Detroit is a socialist hub now. I mean, listen, it's ripe for it. You got people in Detroit that they can't get up out of their economic status. I don't know what oh wow, yeah, I went out. Everybody there? Are we still here? Yeah, I don't know what is going on now, but I think something like 77% of the employees in Detroit were living outside of Detroit. I don't know if it's still the case, but the auto insurance for a Detroit address was the highest in the country. It's tough in Detroit. They got the jobs, the auto industry, but it's so automated now that there's no way for you to slack on the job, right? Because you're going to have your quota and you're on that line, and they working people like a machine. And yo, man, people aren't used to working hard. They're just not. Everybody, I mean, when I say everybody, of course I'm generalizing, but people are going to fold their hands, man, and accept they're going to sign up for socialism. They'll take all the vaccines that they got to take, that they're told. They'll eat bugs. Whatever they're told to do, they'll just do it, And I want to believe there's going to be people who are going to be exempt from all of that. And they're going to be like the true middle class. They won't be the super rich. I mean, the super rich are going to be the super rich no matter what. But there's always got to be a buffer, and it'll just be less of them, and there'll be a true middle class. Yeah. because we have a fabricated middle class. There's a lot of people who became middle class with a lot of easy money. And I think the days of easy money, at least for people on our level, is gone. It's time for, smart money. That means not spending, picking your shots, diversifying, it's a round the clock responsibility to protect your wealth and to grow it. It's not something you could take time off from. We can't eat blueberries was the last thing I heard. Listen, I ate some lettuce a couple weeks ago that messed me up. I'm scared to eat salads. The fruits, they're not hitting the same. Oh wow, Hassan Piker and Syed say they going after the white people. Well, good luck with that. Oh wow, in the city square. I was born and raised in Detroit. I currently live right outside the city limits. Southfield, I had a friend who worked at Chrysler for 12 years. After multiple torn rotator cuff surgeries, he quit. Yeah, I mean, I got a friend that worked at Chrysler too in Detroit, and he's a union rep. But he's got to work hard, harder than, that kind of physical labor at the pace that's expected is more like for guys in their 20s, not their 40s or older. It's just tough. Work ethic is developed as you stretch, press your limits. Yes, Sauron. Oh man, 30K pound of beef, 30,000 pounds of beef recalled this morning. They all red, but I don't eat red meat. I haven't eaten red meat since 1987. But it doesn't matter. They're gonna mess everything up, it seems to me. Democratic Socialist president is crazy work, almost like Trump is the Trojan horse for the death. Yeah, yeah. After Trump is going to swing all the way left, guaranteed. Just like after Biden, the way it swung. Everybody's getting one term. For a while we was in this two-term cycle. That changed with Trump. You only get one term, and each term is very extreme. And everybody takes you extremely to the left, extremely to the right, but it never quite goes back to where it was, ever. Do you see that the U.S. becoming a second tier gives way to the evidence of a one world government? As China improves their standing in the world, I see your take about them being a test country for men. Yes, Glasgow. To me, again, I believe we've been under a one world government for a long time. I think when we have wars and we don't go in there and finish them off like Vietnam, and these wars are designed to create chaos, and it's all Hegelian dialectic. I think the U.S. probably experienced a coup in 1913 under Woodrow Wilson with the creation of the Federal Reserve. And I think in 1963 with JFK, because of his pedigree and background, he was ballsy enough to try to, reverse that, not for the American people, probably for him and his little cabal, that he was with, and they showed him that they weren't big enough. And they did it in a way to discourage anybody else from trying to do it. They killed him in front of the whole world and blamed it on this patsy. Yeah, for sure. Yup, it will be extreme. I'll be spending more of my money at the halal meat shops. Look, as long as their animals are, organic and not mass produced. A funny thing, I had actually made an effort to sell halal meat at a Wayfield in Riverdale, Georgia, off of Riverdale Road. So I knew a brother who was a Muslim that worked in there, and another brother. They was telling me he worked in the meat department, and he was telling me there were so many Muslims that if we had halal meat in there, we would do well. So he presented it to the manager, and we were getting the halal meat from somewhere in Tennessee. It wasn't far from Atlanta, but it was in Tennessee. And long story short, it didn't work out. It could have worked, but again, people who have never been in business before, they believe that because they like something, use something, it's a great idea to do business. And business is more complicated than that. We were starting small. We had I think was goat or lamb or something, and had the carcass and all that, and it just faded. But I tried my hand at almost anything, And I was the DVD man. They didn't have no money to buy shit. Well, they might have, but they wouldn't have put their money on the line. That's the other thing. Everybody want to be a businessman, but nobody wants to take risk, right? They don't want to take their money and put it at risk. They got all these ideas for somebody else's money. And that's why you can't really take people seriously. What's up, Dave Henry? Yeah, Peter, when you lose a war, you try to salvage the best deal you can to end hostilities. I have to agree with that. Are you speaking on Iran? I'm not sure. What's depending on who's talking, they say that the U.S. absolutely wanted the Strait closed, and they accomplished that. They absolutely wanted the Gulf states to be in disarray, to be fearful, and they accomplished that. I wouldn't say that America has lost the Iranian war. I just don't think that most of us understand what the stated objective was, Dave, what's happening? Iran said they ain't talking with Trump. Yeah, he get money. That's right, Peter. The DVD. See, look, I'm selling DVDs and putting halal meat in the grocery store. Ain't no telling what I'll be doing, man. I done tried my hand at so many different things. Listen, Dave, here comes, I got to see what happens with Trump. August is going to determine. If Trump is still in office in the midterms, they're going to lose and lose big. Yeah, they're going to lose and lose big. And that will just be a prelude to what's going to happen 2 years from now. Yep. It's going to be tough. Impeachment. Oh, man. How many times have they done that to him already? It's a mess. It's obvious between Biden and Trump that the person who is in that office is not running the country. When you look at either one of them, nah, I don't know who's running the country, but it ain't them. Yeah, a lot of people say that Pete Hegseth is going to prison. I don't know. I've started like tuning out with all the Trump news because every day it's something. It's a peace treaty. The strait is open. The strait is closed. It's just, man, I don't know, man. Gas prices are up a little bit. 93 octane is over $5 a gallon where I am. So, and that's all I use. So it's gonna cost me $100 and something to fill up. It's a different day, man. It's a different time, for sure. Let me see that, Miss. What is your take on Trump's executive order regarding vaccine schedules? I mean, if we're going from 72 vaccines to 11, I think that's okay, man. I don't think they're wrong on the vaccines. I think it's too many of them, too soon. My son hasn't been vaccinated, but in all honesty, before he go to school, he'll probably get select vaccines, Yeah, he'll probably get select vaccines. He won't get 72 of them, I'll tell you that much. 72 shots, hell no. And I want to wait as long as possible for his natural immune system to build up, so to minimize the effect of any adverse effect from the vaccines. Yeah, I'm definitely open to him getting vaccines at some point, but man, please, not now. Like right before school, if ever. It'll be around 5 years old. You think having the National Guard in D.C. until 2029 is to normalize the military in the streets? Yeah. There's a lot going on 2029. 2029 is the last year before they hit the switch on us in 2030. We're on schedule for something major to happen by 2030. Now, if a Democrat wins in 2028, will they remove the troops after, they get inaugurated in January of 2029? Possibly. Maybe Trump wants the troops in there for the remainder of his term because he's anticipating something happening. And something very well may happen. False flag operation, whatever. Or the shingle shot. Yeah, you go in CVS and they're promoting all kinds of free shots, flu shots, shingle shot. Man, look, I don't get none of that, man. I've never had a flu shot in my life. I'm not telling anybody not to get it. My mom gets every shot, but to each his own. She's 81, about to be 82, but she's not in the best shape, but she gets every shot. I don't get any. I'm okay on that, man. Yeah, I'm okay on that. Have you seen the government book Global Trends 2040? A lot of predictions in there playing out now. I mean, I think a lot of the stuff that's happening, people have been predicting going back to the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. there's been a set plan. Now, the full execution of it shifts. You know, we were supposed to get the real ID in 2020, and it didn't happen until 2025. Sometimes we run behind on certain things for whatever reason, you know. And, you know, these people make their plans, but there is a planner of planners. Things happen. And it's on, you know, it's unplanned. I mean, not unplanned, but unexpected. Yeah, things happen. And also with 2029, Peter, that's the year that Biden extended the liability protection to Moderna and Pfizer and the other COVID vaccine manufacturers. He extended their liability protection all the way to 2029. So there's something going on with 2029. Yeah, shingles is an advanced form of chicken pox. It's also a herpes virus. I think there's like maybe there's a bunch of herpes virus. Chicken pox is a herpes virus, I believe. Yeah. Do you think that Iran threat against Trump when he was in Turkey actually was legitimate? I'm gonna say this: if it wasn't, he's playing a dangerous game. Because if you keep saying that somebody's trying to kill you and they're not, all you're doing is making it easier for someone else to do it and blame it on those people, you know? Yeah. I you know, again, I have some theories. I saw something online in the comment section that's not coming from me. And they were talking about that same thing. And they said they wouldn't put it past Trump to fake his assassination and go to his underground bunker while they just burn the whole place up. You know, I mean, I don't know. I know I believe little of what I see or hear coming from these people. And certain things, you got to think about it. How far are they willing to go to get a reaction out of people? A violent reaction. And I don't think there's a limit to it myself, you know? I just don't. Yeah, but like I said, we're going to see what happens with Trump in August. This month, we're already 25% of the way in, or maybe 33% of the way in. And if he makes it to September as president, it's going to be a blue wave. I don't know what they got cooking up after that. What is going on with the WNBA? I don't watch it, but it seems like it's in the news a whole lot. I don't know, man. The girl, I don't even know their names. The black chick with the fake blonde hair, Cloveline, the white girl with the real blonde hair. And of course, it's a racial thing. And there's the what's her name? Caitlyn, whatever issue. That's racial too. And Angel Reese. And the bottom line is nobody wants to watch them play basketball. And they are and have always been some kind of social engineering type of, tool, vehicle. A friend of mine, Brian Dyke, used to be married to Cynthia Cooper, who was the Michael Jordan of women's basketball when it first started. I happen to think like all of these inroads into traditional male sports, even boxing. I think it has there's something going on. It's all part of chipping away at gender roles, making it that anybody can do anything, and it's to usher in this whole transhumanism thing, where people are no longer. This is why they push transgender so much. It went from lesbians and gays to transgenders. Pay attention. They don't even. It's not even about sexuality for real. It's about doing away with gender roles. What's up, Dusko? How you doing? Yeah, that's what's going on. Um, I think that the WNBA, it makes no money, so it doesn't make sense. They're complaining about money. They want to make money like the men make, but nobody's watching them like they watch the men. But in the name of equality, give them the money. Yeah, I stopped watching the NBA, so I don't care one way or the other. To me, the NBA could just dissolve today, and I wouldn't give a damn. So you know what I think about the WNBA. I mean, I used to have floor seats at the Wizards games. When they brought out these zesty male dancers, that was just it for me, man. Sitting on the floor, I was just too close to all of this nonsense. The WNBA been losing money for 30 years. Of course it has been. It doesn't make business sense because it's not about business. It's not there because of business. It's there because it's going to normalize, the idea of women doing what men do. It's going to help diminish any kind of gender roles in society. It's a small thing. No, the WNBA by itself won't do that, but it's being done gradually. Like right where I live, man, there's a Latina who's part of the construction crew. Every time I drive past, she's on her phone. I haven't seen her pick up not a shovel, a piece of equipment. There's construction going on right near me. I mean, I've been watching her for months, just sitting there. You talk about DEI? Oh my God. And the company that hired her probably got the contract because why? They got a few women on there that's not going to do anything. I mean, she doesn't even get her boots and her jeans dirty at work. She could leave work and go straight to the club. The possibility of biological warfare and how easy it is to create dangerous pathogens, yes. It is easy. It is easy, for sure. Are these subtle attacks against the patriarchy? This is what I think, Dusko. I think the patriarchy is alive and well at the highest levels. Yeah. Their wives don't go to work. Their wives have children and ensure that their children can carry on the legacy. And they create the environment for them to do that, do just that, because those children are going to inherit certain things and they're going to be expected to make certain decisions, and they have to be trained in that, right? And it's not going to happen at daycare. Sorry. It just isn't. But for the rest of us, if we buy into all of this gender bender nonsense, and it erodes at the very foundation that can help our children develop the way they need to develop to compete against those children, then it's a bad thing. It's almost like, man, striking the shepherd and making the sheep scatter. That's what's being done to the plebes. They're in disarray. And being in disarray, they'll never be able to pose a threat or formulate a serious challenge to the people that have power over them. Did you catch Trump using an airport catering truck? I saw that. I saw that, Peter. I mean, that's pretty nice of him. That he thought there was a serious threat to shoot down Air Force One. Did he tell everybody else that was on the plane, or did he just go on the military cargo plane on his own? Trump got to be careful. There are people that know that if they want to trigger something, they need only do something to him. I remember with 9/11 that when after 9/11, so many young men went to enlist to fight for their country. You know, so many young men went to fight. They signed up. They enlisted the next day and the days that followed. And I think the only thing that could possibly get a reaction like that 25 years later would be if something tragic and dramatic happened to you know who. I think that would move some people, you know? Yeah, because 9/11 was fascinating. What's the boy from the Arizona Cardinals? He left the NFL and went over to Afghanistan and got killed by friendly fire. Yeah. There are some patriotic young dudes in the country. And something like that would, I think, spark them. I wrote something about America for Americans on ScoonTV in the city. You got to go check it out. Download the ScoonTV app, go in the Town Hall section, and scroll until you find America for Americans. And this is my thoughts. I don't have a problem with it. I think if you're not a citizen, I think in order to have birthright citizenship, one of your parents need to be a citizen, either natural born or naturalized. But one of them, two people who aren't citizens, even green card holders or illegals, undocumented, they cannot have an American citizen as a child, in my opinion. You know, if you come to a country and you like it so much, you starting a family and having kids, then go ahead and finish the job. Become a naturalized citizen. I think all people born American citizens need to have at least one parent who is a naturalized or born American citizen. And I wrote about it a couple months ago. I even had a change.org petition for people to sign. But you know, that's the problem with Trump, right? He's so tainted in some quarters that even when he says things that make sense, like the ending birthright tourism and things, those things make sense. Or reducing the vaccine schedule from 77 vaccines to 11, 72 vaccines to 11. Those things make sense, but when it comes to him, people throw out the baby with the bathwater. Nothing he says is good, and everything is bad. Oh man, Peter. The jumpers, the moment they decide, it's fascinating. Okay, so I was living in Brooklyn on 9/11, And my my girlfriend had taken the train from Manhattan, and I picked her up downtown by Atlantic Avenue, near where the Barclays is now, and I could see the towers burning. So when I went home, I was looking at it on TV, and I saw a man and a woman hold hands and jumped together, and I turned off the TV because I just, they probably were colleagues, or maybe they didn't even know each other. Because that building was huge, man. Everybody didn't know each other in that building, but it was just bad luck for them that they was above where the plane or whatever it was that hit the building hit it. And they were out there, and they decided to jump, and they held hands, and yeah, that made me turn it. I didn't want to watch it. I don't, to this day, I don't like watching that stuff. Yeah. I think the universe is patriarchal, I do. And it's the people's decision whether they want to be led by weak men or strong men. Well, the problem, right, is that if weak men aren't leading, what are their roles? What is the role of a weak man in society? They like to call people beta males, right? But for me, I always feel like, take a wolf pack. There's the alpha male, and there's betas, but the betas aren't punks though, right? The betas are just waiting their time, because if anything happens to that alpha male, from the beta males emerges the next alpha, which means he had it in him, right? And that's different than a weak man. Is there a place for weak men in this world? That's the thing. The few good ideas he has gets drowned out by things like the reflection pool vandalism. Oh, man. I heard of Dave Anderson. I'm not that familiar off the top with what he does, Yeah, but back to the weak men and strong men. I think you said the role of weak men is to placate women. Ah, man. The weak men, they're the ones who compete with women. They don't placate women. They emulate women. That's what they do. When they don't know how to be a man, or they can't function in that capacity, then they switch teams. Happens all the time. And that is in effect what happens on a psychological level to a lot of people. Why do you think there's so many lady boys in Thailand? Those people have been economically emasculated. And once you're economically emasculated, now it compounds and you're psychologically emasculated. And once that happens, the next step is you are physically emasculated. And you got all these boys running around pretending to be girls over there because they no longer have the opportunity of expressing themselves in the masculine energy, because some people who were more men than them came through and conquered them and made it do what it do. So you see this happening Look at South Africa, right? So they had this thing against the immigrants. And one of the complaints the Zulus had about the other African immigrants was that they were getting all the women. Well, the Zulu women recognized that the Zulu men couldn't play traditional roles because for whatever reason, you can say they're lazy, you can say they're stupid, but they can't function in traditional capacity of providing and protecting. And that becomes an issue. And social engineers know this. So undermining a man's ability to earn and provide is in fact a form of soft eugenics. Because you're psychologically emasculating the man. You're presenting him as a failure to the women. And then if you simultaneously boost the women and give them jobs, it could be bullshit jobs, and make them feel like they don't need a man. Now, the men who are boxed out, one or two things going to happen, right? They're going to cannibalize each other. And that's where all this hyper-masculinity comes in, because some guys ain't going to go for it, and the weak ones, they get punked financially, emotionally, and sometimes physically. It happens. It happens. There's a penalty for being a weak man in this world. Nobody cares about you. You know, it's like I have a son. I have two sons. My oldest son is in Australia right now, but I have two sons, and as a father, especially of black boys, it's my responsibility to make sure they don't ever be weak men. They don't have to be the toughest. They don't have to be the richest. None of those things, but not weak. And what constitutes weakness? Fear. Fear of losing. Fear of dying. All of these things. Fear will make you weak. Any thoughts on Officer Tatum interviewing Nolan Wells' friends? I didn't see that, Dusko. Officer Tatum, he's been, I saw some thumbnails. It looks like he's been making a fool of himself. I mean, other than what he usually does, you know what I mean? But yeah, it looks like he's been getting caught up in all kinds of embarrassing situations. I think I need to rephrase my statement. What I meant is the people decide if they want to be led by men who fear God or men who don't. Well, William, man, respectfully, right? There are men who aren't connected to God, but they are connected to a greater power nonetheless. And they are in leadership positions. In fact, it seems like historically in the world, that's where most men get their power from. I think the power from God is to withstand what these other men bring to the table. Yeah. I think these people, whether it be Alexander the Great or any world leader, conqueror, Genghis Khan, you name it, I don't think their power and ability to lead is coming from the Almighty. But it is a power nonetheless. You know, it is. And you got to understand what it is. And if anything, once you understand what it is, you realize that you on your own cannot stand against that. And it should bring the righteous and the believers closer to that divine source. Because without it, you will not survive what these people are bringing. You know? And that's how it is in the world, man. Like, when I look around, man, it seems like wicked people tend to do really, really well some of the times, or for some of the time. But they usually end up paying a high price after they've been totally, used for whatever they need to be used for. Years ago, my son was telling me he wanted to be a billionaire. And I just took it as hubris from a young guy, and maybe he's trying to impress me and talk big. But I responded to him. I said, what do you need $1 billion for? What are you going to do with it? And I proceeded to explain to him that I really think it's a sin to want more than you need just so you can manipulate others, impress them. Because it really comes down to, you want all this money. Why? Because when you tell people you got all this money, now they're at your beck and call. And you need this money to have power over these people, over their mind, because they are weak people who bow down to money. And when you got money, it means they bow down to you. See, none of this is a righteous process, at least not in my thinking. I don't think money in of itself is evil. But I think our intentions with money can be very evil. And it usually is when you want to amass this ridiculous amount of money. Do you think these wicked people rule because the righteous don't recognize their own power? William, what I think is the world is as it's supposed to be. I think the wicked will rule, but the righteous will find a way to survive. It's a test. The wicked are going to bring out all the faith in you because they have everything going for them, man. They do. This is the world. This is a grand illusion, a world of deception, if you will. And once you start understanding that and dealing with it as such, then you focus on what you need to focus on. It's funny how people misquote the scripture by saying money is the root of all evil, but it's the love of money is the root of all evil. Look, man, there it is. Money is useful. Oh, well, you're welcome, William. I'm here on a journey too. The person that you're talking to today wasn't talking like this even 10 years ago. Yeah. The person that you're talking to today didn't speak like this, not even 10 years ago. So imagine 30 years ago. You feel me? And that's why when I talk to my son, because my son is 35 and he'll be 36 this year, I always take into account his age. And because he's smart as I don't know what, you know what I'm saying? Super smart. Like he's making moves. I just want to make sure that he doesn't lose his way. Because it's easy when you get, enchanted or mesmerized by all these shiny baubles. You know what I mean? Like, and you gotta be grounded. So I have philosophical conversations with my son. I do. And Because he's at that phase in his life where he's really trying to build his fortune and do what he thinks is going to validate him. And, you know, it's dealing with entertainment and all that stuff. I'm not really fond of it, but what could I say? I went through my phases with that stuff too. I did. Absolutely. So now it's his turn. And I just use my experience and apply to him. Oh, wow. William, 38. Good stuff, man. Yeah, I'll be 62 in 3 weeks, I think. Yeah. I'll be 62. Peace, E. Brody. Now, I'll absolutely be 62 with a 3-month-old, a 3.5-month-old. I would show y'all, I'm so proud of the boy. I would show y'all a picture, but the last time I did that, my wife, she deleted the upload from the live stream. She don't want no pictures of her boy on the internet. So I gotta respect that. You know, even on the live stream, I just showed about the picture on the phone. She was like, nope, and she deleted it. So that one is not in the archive. But yeah, man, I'll be 62, and I'm just. Oh, you laughing up, Brian? Yeah, man, she pulled rank on that one. Or she's super protective of her son now. Yeah. Yeah, man. It's amazing because I look at him and he's starting to look more and more like me every day. And trying to stand up. And he's a big boy. He's a big boy. Oh, man. Big feet, big hands. Grew 5 inches in less than 3 months. 40 next May. Okay, well, that's next year, Glasgow. You got some time still. You know, look. Yeah, I'll be 62 in September 5th. And ask me what I'm doing. Nothing. You know, ever since my son came, we took one trip, and that was to New York. I don't want him on an airplane until he's a year old. And I'm not doing anything without my family. My family got to travel with me wherever I go. The big 5-0. Oh, y'all catching up to me, huh? 39, 49, 38. Okay. Y'all catching up. But yeah, it is what it is, man. I'm just staying at home, staying close to my family. I don't want my son on airplanes, and I don't ever want my family far from me, ever. I need to be around. If I gotta go on a business trip, everybody's coming. That's how I'm moving, you know. Yeah, but the only place we went to New York during the playoffs. We were up there during Game 4. I didn't attend, but we just decided we needed to go somewhere because we hadn't traveled or been anywhere. And you know, when we get bored, we usually just go right up the road. That New York drive is nothing, you know. Yeah. What we got over here on YouTube? Anybody? What up? What else we got? Oh, Roland Martin. Roland Martin, man. Roland Martin is suing people. Well, he's giving them cease and desist letters. Somebody tried to shake him down. Apparently, Roland was involved in an adulterous affair with a hood rat. Somebody you wouldn't expect him to be involved with. And you know, my thinking, honestly, was that was a setup to dispel gay rumors. But then when I heard what was going on in the video, I don't know if my theory was right, you know. Apparently, Roly-Poly likes to get his prostate checked with great regularity. And like I said on Twitter, now that explains why he's so light in his loafers, you know. It's really strange, man. You're a guy, you got a following, you're married, and you're cavorting with these type of people doing these type of things. It says a lot about who he really is. Not that guy that's talking in front of the camera all the time and pretending to be, you know, a liberal. Like, this is a sick man. Like, you don't know who this guy is because when he wake up in the morning, he puts on his costume. Whatever was going on in that video, that's who he really is. Yeah, hood rat, Darnita, that's a whole word, a hood rat. Remember Latarian Milton? He said he just want to do fun things with his hood rat friends. Yo, look. Yeah, that's who he really is. For sure, E. Brody. Yeah, Umar is absolutely an entertainer. He is. I interviewed Umar. I think Umar is a smart guy. And he's a great, he's like a poor man's Malcolm X. He can speak. However, something happened to him. He's compromised right now. And all he is an agent of chaos. I don't want to call any names, but you could tell who the compromised people are. Because the things that they do, it's all about spectacle and scandal. Repeatedly, not one time. That's how they keep you captivated, with spectacle. And there's nothing good coming out of their work. Yeah, E. Brody says he think Umar is the greatest orator of his generation. Look, man, I sat down with him. He's a smart guy, man. You know, when I interviewed him, right? When I interview people, I want to put them at ease. So I talked to him. He didn't request this at all. I talked to him and I said, listen, man, here's the things we're going to talk about. And what I wanted him to know is that I wasn't going to ask him about the school because I wanted him relaxed. And I wanted him to talk about everything else and not be on guard like I'm going to try to, you know, call him out on the school. So I conceded the school issue because, let's be real, man. The man thought he was going to build a school for for $2 million. You got to be kidding me. It's a school. Who the hell is going to go to Umar Johnson School to learn military training? Is it going to be accredited? Like, he had all this, like, this bootleg Wakanda type thing going on. How are the teachers going to get paid? If you're not charging tuition, how are you going to keep the lights on? If you're charging tuition, who the hell is going to pay? Because your audience doesn't pay for anything. So for me, from a business standpoint, I'm looking at it like maybe he thought he was going to open the school and perpetually solicit celebrities for money. And he just like, the school's going to close down and we're doing this and we got these kids and you know, maybe that was his hustle. Once he get the school open, he just keep asking and begging for money. I don't know. Sounds like he's running the same scam Marcus Garvey did. Oh, man. Would you rather be a senator who can do all the crimes and not get caught for it for a few years or become a mafia boss? Once you live in fear but you live in fear that the FBI police can get you any day. You know, you'd be surprised. Criminals, the real ones, have already accepted that they can get arrested, that they're being watched, and all of these things. I'll give you a quick story, right? So, like I said, I interviewed Sam DeBow. And Sammy DeBow in the interview says that John Gotti wanted to sit down with Don King. And Don King was on trial and all that at the time. And Don King sent word that he was hot, that, you know, he didn't want to meet right then because he had a lot of heat. Sammy said, John said, who gives a fuck? We all got heat. I want to sit down and talk to him. And my point is, that's just part of the job description. It doesn't impact them as much as you think. I saw him speak at the Shrine in Houston years ago. He was there to do an end of the year speech. Dude got up there telling jokes. Oh man. The thing is with Umar is that I think he got sidetracked when you look at him 15 years ago. His delivery was more serious, right? But what happened is, in my opinion, because I seen him in action, once women were gravitating to him, he lost his way. Because, you know, because he probably got more access to women being a motivational speaker than he'd ever had in his life, he started just going around and he got women in everywhere, you know. He turned into Juicy J. You say no to a ratchet pussy, Dr. Umar can't. And that's really what's happening with him. It's all about the chicks. It's not even about the money. Yeah, I mean, E. Brody, listen, I think the police know about everybody. That's what I think. I've said it a lot of times on this live stream. Umar can't. That's right. He can't say no. Tariq threw a wrench in his grift like he does with everyone. Yeah, Tariq he's one of them dudes, you know, like he was with the ADOS people and then he stepped away. He reminds me of Ron Karenga, the dude who invented Kwanzaa. And he had an organization called US, and it was responsible for the killing of the Black Panther dude, Bunchy Carter, in LA. Ron Karenga ended up becoming a professor or something like that, but he was revealed to be an FBI informant, agent provocateur. And the Panthers were full with agents too. Just because they're going at each other don't mean that they're not both working for the same team. Yeah, I'm gonna do a vlog on the flock cameras. Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna do a vlog on the flock cameras. I've been looking at it. They said like 25 cops have been reprimanded or fired for using the flock cameras to stalk women. You know? Yeah, it's something to that effect. And they're tracking people. There's a case where flock cameras were used to tie someone to marijuana sales for no reason. Like, it's just, they looked at where he was going and they assumed that this was happening. He was getting marijuana out of state in Michigan and going out of state. Something he was in a neighboring state, and they figured out he was getting his marijuana from Michigan and using the flock cameras. Yo, listen, between the phones all the cameras that's everywhere. I don't even know how people think they can get away with crime. I really don't. I don't think so. I don't understand how they even believe that. You know, it's time to straighten up, man. And the jails are a crowd. They're putting more than 2 people in the cell now. What? That's horrible. Oh, thank you, Darnita, and have a good night. Yeah, well, yeah, that's it. Tariq remind me of them people. Oh, absolutely. You know, they said he had some kind of criminal history. You always got to watch that, man. The criminal history, and then all of a sudden, they're agent provocateur. I have a criminal history, but you will never see me inciting anything, nothing, because I know better. Tariq is trying to incite people, you know, race warrior this, race warrior that. He got a green light for all of that. He can do it. You listen to him and go do something, you'll be in jail by yourself. He won't be a co-defendant at all. Yeah. 50 improper use incidents with the flop cams to date. Wow. Wow. That's incredible. And they're everywhere. And what is the purpose of them? You know, what's really happening? You know, even if, look, something simple as if you sneaking around on your spouse and then you get confronted with that evidence as a way of flipping you and getting you to do other things, shit. The new grift is the FBA versus Tether arguments. And look, that's that. Anyway, I think that's it for me tonight. Thank you all. Always a pleasure. Thank you, my YouTube and Rumble family and everybody else. And my regulars on the ScoonTv platform and app. Looking forward to doing it again next week, God willing. I'm out.